time, we're asking you to create ice-cold snowboarding characters strong enough to survive our very own double brick diamond. Who's ready for seconds? We want a holiday tale that will live on forever. Who is leaving here? Lego Masters.
That's good.
Champions.
I'd love to win that trophy. It's pretty.
It's the moment we've been waiting for.
The winner is... We're good.
Don't miss the Special Forces epic 2-hour premiere. The 5-week event starts January 8th on Fox.
Now, your primetime local news leader. Fox 22 News at 10.
A second alarm was struck as crews battled a structure fire in Old Town this morning. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Devin Dagnall. According to the Old Town Fire Department, they responded to a residence along Main Street shortly after 9 a.m. Upon arrival, crews found heavy smoke conditions in the attic. Despite not having direct access to the fire, they were able to contain the bulk of the damage to the attic. Lieutenant Justin Bartlett with Old Town Fire says only one occupant was on scene and they did not sustain any injuries. He is urging people to be extra cautious amid these weather conditions.
It's always be careful, make sure all your heating appliances are checked prior to the heating season. And anytime you're driving in snowy conditions, to go slow and take it easy.
Part of Main Street was closed while crews worked to contain the fire. The fire department says it is unclear if the house will be determined a total loss. The cause of the fire is under investigation. After announcing earlier this month that they would be shutting down, one of Maine's most beloved radio stations has been saved from going off the air. Our Grace Blanchard has the story.
It's a Christmas miracle.
It is a Christmas miracle, yes.
Sounds of joy rang through the WKIT radio station in Bangor after the crew learned they were staying on the air.
It doesn't even feel real because the timing of it, it's Christmas Eve. This is happening Christmas Eve, so it's just like one of those Hallmark movies.
Stephen King announced earlier this month that his longtime radio group would be shutting down all 3 of its stations at the end of the year.
It was a bit of a gut punch. We had known for some time that maybe the books weren't showing the numbers an owner might hope to see, but we also knew that we had an incredibly strong audience.
But when all hope was lost, 2 local business owners decided they just couldn't see the classic rock station go and are taking over ownership.
I don't think I ever really knew how much it meant to people until the last 3 weeks. I mean, I knew a lot of people listened, but I didn't know how many people cared so much for this place.
The radio show hosts say it was the outpouring cry of support from listeners that helped lead to this outcome.
Hello, KAT.
It's a Christmas miracle. Thank you, Jeff and Greg.
To see them turn that support toward us as a radio entity has really made a tremendous difference for us over the course of the last several weeks.
It is unclear the future of the other 2 stations, but for now, the WKIT crew are grateful to continue to do what they love at their home away from home.
We're going to be able to continue to be a family, to continue to work together, and to continue to hopefully bring the best classic rock radio to the air that anybody's hearing anywhere in the country.
In Bangor, Grace Blanchard, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Traveling for the holidays can be stressful enough, but with today's wintry weather, that adds another danger to watch out for. Our Corey Bouchard spoke with AAA of Northern New England to learn more about staying safe on the roads.
You just doubled the impact. You have bad weather, and we have a lot of people on the roadways. We have, some holiday cheer going on.
According to Tom Barron, a traffic safety coordinator for AAA of Northern New England, around 4.5 million drivers will be traveling by car through New England this holiday season, an increase of about 3% from last year. Combined with Tuesday's winter storm that can create some hazardous road conditions, Barron says the first step to staying safe and sane this holiday travel season is to make sure your car is prepared.
Make sure, first of all, your car is ready. That's, pretty important. Check over your vehicle. Make sure the lights are all working and cleared off of snow, and your windows are all cleared. And just mechanically, just take a quick look around your car as well.
Barron says in winter weather like this, it's important to pack your patience and watch your speed. If you're traveling on the highway, watch out for reduced speed limits. We got up with two last-minute shoppers who shared their experience with Tuesday's driving conditions.
Almost got into like 3 car accidents on the way here.
We've been slipping and sliding the whole way as we've been coming to all these different, doing our shopping for today.
Even if you're on vacation and taking time off work, Barron says be mindful of those who still have to work despite the weather or holidays.
The thing you really want to highlight too during these kind of road conditions are those people that are out there working, our plow drivers, police, and then our record service, those people that, are going to be out there helping people that are broken down. All states have a slow down, move over law. And it's so very important that when we see those red, blue, orange lights, we move over or we slow down.
In Augusta, I'm Corey Bouchard for ABC7 and Fox 22 News.
Well, today's snowstorm didn't stop travelers at Bangor International Airport from making it to their destinations. This morning, the only flights delayed going to or from Bangor International Airport belong to American Airlines, who issued a nationwide ground stop after flagging a technical issue with all flights. Travelers from Florida said even at Orlando International, their travel experience was relatively seamless, and the snow is a welcomed surprise.
It was good. It wasn't too bad in Orlando, early flight, so not too much of the TSA. Excited to come home to snow. Last year I came home and there wasn't much snow, so excited to come home and see it snowing.
Travelers at Bangor International Airport were also welcomed by staff members who were busy spreading holiday cheer. In other news, a longtime Bangor businessman and the friendly face behind the counter of the Coffee Pot sandwich shop has died. Francis Skip Rist passed away over the weekend after a brief illness. Rist and father Frank Murray both grew up in Bangor together. Rist was raised on Parview Avenue in Bangor. He went to St. John's School and then later attended and graduated from John Baptist High School. Rist was well known to sandwich lovers in the Queen City who frequented his sandwich shop called the Coffee Pot on State Street.
You have those small businesses, and his Coffee Pot was a very small shop, but within that shop there was an awful lot of wisdom and knowledge and personal care.
Murray says Rist was also a faithful believer who attended Mass daily, always choosing to sit in the back. Skip Rist was 87 years old. His funeral is scheduled for 11 a.m. on Friday at St. Paul the Apostle Parish on York Street in Bangor. All right, let's turn things over to Chase Ropanak with a first look at our forecast.
Thank you very much, and Merry Christmas Eve, everybody. Christmas Day is right around the corner. We had some snow last night into this morning, and we are definitely going to be seeing a white Christmas. But the next few days are going to be pretty quiet. We're not going to see any snow, but we're definitely have cold enough temperatures to keep the snow on the ground for a white Christmas. But throughout the next few days, we're going to see some partly cloudy skies, and then going into Thursday afternoon, the skies are going to clear. We're going to see some mostly sunny skies, but with that, temperatures are warming as well, which may melt some snow away. For highs today out there, though, right around the mid-20s here in town, we saw those low to mid-30s along the coastline, stretching into the southwestern portion of the state, some upper 20s in there as well, and cooler temperatures up north, right around 19 degrees in Clayton Lake, 20 in Presque Isle and Holton. Into tonight, though, we're going to hit our lows pretty early, and we're going to see those clear skies. That's when we're going to be stretching right into the low teens, with temperatures raising throughout the rest of the night.
Thanks, Chase. Still to come on Fox 22 News at 10, our Doug Banks takes us back to review stories and events that happened through Maine as 2024 draws to a close. And a local Bangor restaurant stepped up to help the public this holiday season. Those stories and more local news when we return.
Oh no! Son of a nutcracker. This is what I get for eating all those cookies. Hey, Rotor, I got a big clog for you. I'm stuck in the chimney. Again. Yep, I'm the clog. Any chance you could fa-la-la over here?
For all your holiday plumbing needs, Roto-Rooter can save the day.
And away go troubles down the drain. Roto-Rooter.
Rowell's Garage has been serving customers in the greater Dover-Foxcroft region since 1946. Our goal is not just selling you a vehicle, but also giving you quality service to maintain your vehicle at peak performance. Browse our inventory online or in person. Whether it's a car, truck, or SUV, we can put you in the vehicle that is right for you. Sales, service, and parts. Rowell's Garage, doing business the right way every day.
Come stop by Triple S Tack Shop, 315 Hamden Road, Carmel, for quality clothing and equestrian gear.
Wishing you a warm and uplifting holiday season from all of us at Blazing Trails. Mainly Mercantile wishes you happy holidays. Shop local, spread cheer, and celebrate Maine traditions. Happy holidays from Alpenglow Adventure Sports, your one-stop shop for everything outdoors and more.
Dr. Larson was in a car accident. She has no recollection of the last 8 years.
Doc, series premiere, January 7th on Fox.
No pressure, but this is our last go.
Everybody wins! An all-new season of Animal Control premieres Thursday, January 2nd, followed by the series premiere of Going Dutch on Fox.
Welcome back. As we carry on through our reflection of the year 2024, shares with us some of the moments from March and April.
We begin the month of March with one of Maine's most prominent industries. Despite having their smallest catch since 2009 at 93.7 million pounds, Maine Lobstermen's Association announced they brought in $464.4 million at the docks in 2023, a jump of over $25 million from the year before.
The industry is in good shape. Landings dropped a little bit, but value was up.
Less than 2 weeks after 10-year-old Braxton Smith died in a local hospital, his father, mother, and paternal grandmother were each indicted on depraved indifference murder charges. According to an affidavit, Smith had been restrained with zip ties, abused, starved, and his autopsy showed signs of battered child syndrome. Northern Light Eastern Maine Medical Center was found liable of medical malpractice and paid $2.4 million in damages to a Frenchville woman. On March 15th, Maine celebrated its 204th birthday.
Maine in so many ways has not changed in that we're still very community focused.
And Ron and Rob Carter, who despite both being diagnosed with a rare genetic disorder, kept their love and tradition of bowling together alive. And best of all, it's doctor's orders.
22 years, we were averaging 350 days a year.
It was a moment long anticipated and unforgettable. A total solar eclipse started April off, and folks across Maine gathered to witness a spectacle from the universe.
She's the one who convinced me to do this. I should be at work today.
We want to see the totality.
It was definitely worth the trip.
Over on the coast, the town of Searsport were in the throes of their multi-million-dollar downtown reconstruction project. After months of speculation, the United States Postal Service announced the consolidation of the Eastern Maine Processing and Distribution Center in Hamden, which was met with harsh disapproval from lawmakers and local officials. In a new chapter of one of Maine's most infamous murder cases, Dennis DeShane appeared in Knox County Superior Court seeking another retrial after being sentenced to life in prison for the 1988 murder of a 12-year-old Bowdoin girl. On April 17th, lawmakers reflected on the last day of Maine's 131st legislature.
I think it's been extremely productive.
I was so disappointed as a freshman legislator that we couldn't move things forward.
We continue to support our educators, the schools, by funding at 55%.
And if the first 4 months of the new year made you sick to your stomach, then April's Destination Devon that dives into the world of motion sickness bags and the man who created an online museum for them, then that was the story for you.
I probably have the 10th largest collection in the world.
In studio, Doug Banks, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Certainly one of my favorite destinations. In other news, holiday giving is something special, whether it comes from a coworker Christmas party or something Santa puts under your tree. So when we heard about a local Bangor restaurant stepping up to help the public help those in need of a meal, we had to stop by. Kobe Ninja House Japanese Grill in Bangor has started a giving wall, an idea that they got from another restaurant they own in southern Maine. It is a chance for people to buy a meal for someone they don't know that might need a helping hand.
We have had some customers come in and they just pick a meal and then they just pay for it, and we just stick it right on the board for them. So
the plan right now is for the gift giving to continue through at least New Year's Day, but they are looking into making this a permanent fixture at Kobe. Coming up on the 10 p.m. news on Fox 22, we'll take a look at your national headlines. Do not go away.
What do we got?
Big inventory, big deals, and a grand finale final days finish.
Final days. Exciting.
Now, lease a Ford Bronco Sport for $319 a month for 36 months. Only at your New England Ford dealers.
A family-owned and operated business since 1953, Hammond Lumber Company recognizes the value of their team members and the importance of employee satisfaction. Hammond is honored to have been named one of the best places to work in Maine for the 4th consecutive year, and Hammond was once again selected as one of the best places to work in New Hampshire by Business New Hampshire magazine. Hammond is always looking for great people to join their team. To find your place on the Hammond team, click on the careers link at hammondlumber.com.
Happy holidays from Collector's Choice Sports Cards in Brewer. We carry sports cards, TCG, and also buy, sell, and trade. Paloma's Gifts, located at 78 Harlow Street in Bangor. We have the perfect stocking stuffers for you this holiday season. Merry Christmas from Triple S Tack Shop, home of all your new and used equestrian supplies.
Are your gutters weighed down by debris causing them to sag and overflow? I'm Tony Hafford with TC Hafford Basement Systems. Clogged gutters lead to costly repairs for your home, so skip the cleaning and stop the clogs with Gutter Shutter. Gutter Shutter, the world's best gutter, is a high-performance gutter with a lifetime no-clog guarantee. Stop the clutter, get Gutter Shutter. Call TC Hafford Basement Systems today for all things basementy.
There's a famous quote that says, in order to get something that you've never had, you got to do something that you've never done.
You are here to prove you have something about you.
I've been in situations where I freeze.
I can't breathe.
This ain't Hollywood, mate.
Hurry up, let's go!
Special Forces 5-week event premieres January 8th on Fox.
What do we got?
Big inventory, big deals, and a grand finale final days finish.
Final days. Exciting.
Now, lease a Ford Bronco for $369 a month for 36 months. Only at your New England Ford dealers.
Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays from Fox 22.
Welcome back. President-elect Trump has promised to, quote, drill baby drill once he returns to office. Fox News correspondent Dan Springer looks at how the energy business is gearing up for a revival under the new administration.
We're going to drill, baby, drill.
It was a promise heard daily from former President Donald Trump on the campaign trail. Come January, America's oil and gas will be back in favor, but there will be pushback.
Some may seek to deny or delay the clean energy revolution that's underway in America. But nobody can reverse it.
But reversing the Biden energy policy is exactly what many are expecting. From executive orders walling off drilling on millions of acres of federally owned land and waters to a ban on issuing new permits to export natural gas.
If there are some very big actions that are taken almost immediately, and it has that correlating reduction in energy prices, including electricity, the voters, the American people, are going to look and say, look, Trump did exactly what he told us that he was going to do. And frankly, we like the results of that.
The American Petroleum Institute's roadmap includes repealing tailpipe rules and electric vehicle mandates, as well as restrictive leasing rules and fees on methane, and reforming the permitting system.
The vast majority of the people in our country, Democrats, Republicans, Independents, know we got a broken federal permitting system, know it gets gamed by these lower 48 groups that sue at the last minute to delay things.
Alaska Senator Dan Sullivan says the Biden administration took 67 actions targeting energy production in his state. He wants Trump to unlock the National Petroleum Reserve and Arctic National Wildlife Refuge. There will be legal fights.
We need to stop locking future generations into decades more dependence on the fossil fuels that are driving the climate crisis.
The Natural Resources Defense Council is gearing up for a second round against the Trump administration, claiming it sued the first one on average once every 10 days over those 4 years, winning 90% of the time. And so the amount and pace of change on energy policy will largely be sorted out in the courts.
President Biden is being praised by progressives for his stance on the death penalty, but not everyone agrees. Alex Hoff has more on the story from Washington.
The Congressional Progressive Caucus thanked President Biden for his latest action, calling the death penalty fundamentally inhumane. But critics say inhumane better describes the crimes that landed these men on death row. The crimes are as horrific as they come. Prosecutors say George Avila Torres sexually assaulted and killed 2 young girls, Laura Hobbs and Crystal Tobias, before murdering 20-year-old naval officer Amanda Snell. Torres was sentenced to death, as was Thomas Sanders, who was convicted of killing 12-year-old Lexis Roberts after making her watch as he murdered her mother.
This shows you that Joe Biden has no regard for the rule of law and that there is such animosity in the Biden administration.
Now, both men are among 37 federal death row inmates whose sentences have been commuted by President Biden, a decision stirring fierce debate.
I have real concerns overall with the death penalty, but I also have concerns with the executive branch overturning cases that have been decided by courts across the country.
The president stated that while he condemns the murderers' crimes and grieves for their victims, quote, "In good conscience, I cannot stand back and let a new administration resume executions that I halted." In a statement to Fox, President-elect Trump's team called the current president's decision abhorrent. On the campaign trail, Trump promised to resume executions and expand federal death penalty cases. This round of commutations excludes those sentenced for hate-based mass murders and terrorism. Boston Marathon bomber Zohar Tsarnaev, Charleston church shooter Dylan Roof, and Pittsburgh synagogue shooter Robert Bowers will remain on death row. This move comes after the president's mass day of clemency 10 days ago, where more than 1,500 individuals were pardoned or had their sentences commuted. In Washington, Alexandria Hoff, Fox News.
President Biden is set to decide the fate of one of the companies that built America after a national security committee failed to reach a consensus on whether U.S. steel could be purchased by a Japanese company. Fox's Alexandria Hoff has the details from Washington.
U.S. steel has been a cornerstone of American industry since 1901, but a proposed sale would see the company taken over by Japanese giant Nippon Steel. It's a deal that has the support of some in the industry.
I think Nippon's the best deal for U.S. Steel.
But the sale needs approval from the federal government. And on Monday, the Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States, which reviews potential foreign takeovers of U.S. companies, failed to reach a consensus on whether the sale of U.S. Steel to Nippon posed a national security risk. It's now up to President Joe Biden to make the final determination on a deal he has publicly opposed.
U.S. Steel has been an iconic American company for more than a century, and it should remain a totally American company. American owned, American operated by American union steelworkers.
Under the terms of the nearly $15 billion all-cash offer, U.S. Steel would keep its name and headquarters in Pittsburgh, but become a subsidiary of Nippon. The combined company would be among the largest steelmakers in the world. Some union workers say they are concerned about the future of their jobs, but others say the sale would provide a much-needed investment.
They're promising to put billions of dollars in our facilities. Our facilities are old down here. They need updated, they need upgraded.
President-elect Donald Trump also opposes the sale of U.S. Steel and said he would block it from going through. In Washington, Alexandria Hoff, Fox News.
While drones are used nationwide across many industries and for various tasks, sales of drones produced by Chinese companies may be a thing of the past as members of Congress keep calling for a ban. Fox's Kevin Oretsky reports on the possible threats, controversies, and impacts.
They ought to be banned. End of story.
But the story is far from over as the fight over the future of Chinese-made drones in the United States soars to new heights. Many lawmakers on Capitol Hill have long argued that Chinese-made drones carry a number of risks. They're now aiming to ban new sales from two major Chinese manufacturers, citing security threats.
Drones manufactured in China are a source of surveillance, data collection.
DJI Technologies is the largest drone manufacturer in the world. Despite its significant presence, DJI is based in China and it has known ties with the Chinese Communist Party.
Government officials also say the low-cost Chinese devices are hurting the U.S. drone industry. But nationwide, many of these gadgets are offering solutions, especially to farmers.
We can fly over a cornfield in season and we can see, is there a problem area? Is it fertility? Is it somebody messed up with chemistry?
Besides agriculture, drones are also used to locate victims after natural disasters. They're even helping to combat mosquito populations to protect against diseases.
If it's going to be a change, it shouldn't be a knee-jerk reaction.
But after talking to lawmakers, some drone operators argue the proposed threats linked to Chinese devices aren't specific enough.
If they're going to ban it, if they're going to say that they're bad, tell us why. Because every time that I've talked to a lawmaker, they could do this, they could do that. It's always they could.
Kevin Uretsky, Fox News.
Still to come on Fox 22 News at 10, we'll have more of your national headlines. Stay with us.
This January, a new comedy at your service.
I like this soldier. He just ran into a door, but at least he ran.
Going Dutch premieres January 2nd on Fox.
At Old Town Redemption Center, we are always ready to help with any fundraisers or bottle drives. We are here to help our community. Like and follow us on Facebook for upcoming weekly holiday giveaways and our monthly $100 drawing.
Orno Arcade has expanded, and we have dozens of new games to play. We have prize machines, including an entire section dedicated to your favorite modern games. We have games from the 80s and games from the 90s. Plus, we have the largest selection of indie arcade games in the country, along with 9-hole blacklight mini golf. We also have a brand new birthday party room. Hey, we have it all. Come on up to Orno and experience one of the most unique family entertainment centers in Maine.
Gun Sports and Brewer knows that for fun, exercise, and meeting new friends, nothing is better than ice skating. Whether it's sailing down the ice, making a great pass, and scoring in a game of hockey, or the grace, strength, and expression of figure skating. From the youngest child all the way to adulthood, anyone can enjoy the fun of skating. At Gun Sports, we supply the equipment for your skating fun for great prices, the proper fit, and service after the sale. Shop your locally owned Gun Sports Shop, Greenpoint Road in Brewer.
Happy holidays from the Katahdin General Store family. Thank you for your business. Have a safe holiday season. University of Maine, finish strong. Complete your degree online with advising and financial support. umaine.edu/finishstrong. Flash Me Maine Photo Booth Rentals wants to wish everyone a happy holiday. Currently booking for the holiday season.
Today is definitely colder.
This was the hardest thing I've ever done.
Our survivalists are playing a game out there and trying to survive. We are playing a game in here.
This is giving me anxiety.
Your loved one's fate is in your hands. I'm terrified.
I just want to go home. I'm not hitting the button.
Press the button.
Extracted. Series premiere Monday, February 10th on Fox.
At Old Town Redemption Center, we are always ready to help with any fundraisers or bottle drives. We are here to help our community. Like and follow us on Facebook for upcoming weekly holiday giveaways and our monthly $100 drawing.
Welcome back. Health officials bump up an egg recall to the highest risk level. The Food and Drug Administration marked Handsome Brook Farm eggs with a Category 1 recall for salmonella, meaning there is reasonable probability that the product could cause serious health issues or even death if consumed. Hundreds of thousands of eggs were sold at Costco under its Kirkland brand and have been recalled since last month, but no illnesses have been reported yet. Handsome Brook Farms says the recalled eggs were sold in Alabama, North Carolina, Georgia, South Carolina, and Tennessee. They were not meant to be distributed as retail, but were shipped with retail packaging by accident. Police departments are warning of brushing scams targeting holiday shoppers. Fox's Brooke Taylor is in Dallas with the latest on what consumers should know.
Not every holiday package received in the mail is legit. That's the warning being issued by police departments nationwide, cautioning of a so-called brushing scam.
So a brushing scam is when you receive a package with like a small item in it that you didn't order, but it is addressed to you and you're not sure where it came from.
So how does the scam work? The Better Business Bureau says the unexpected packages typically come with an item and a QR code. Some packages even suggest that's how you can find out who the package is from. But for some scammers, consumer advocacy groups warn the QR code is actually a ploy to fish for personal information such as bank account details, credit card numbers, and login credentials.
So we just tell people to, if you don't want it, throw it away. But the biggest thing to remember is don't get really curious about it. Say if there's a QR code, don't scan that because you don't know where it's going.
The surge in brushing scams comes as the U.S. Postal Service is also sounding an urgent warning about smishing, another scam on the rise this holiday season. According to postal officials, cell phone owners receive a text saying a package can't be delivered because of missing information. But in reality, it's another scam to get consumers to divulge their personal information.
The Postal Service does not solicit any information from its customers.
So while this may be a week full of unexpected texts and packages, holiday revelers are urged to be extra vigilant.
I think the worst part is not knowing if it's real or not and feeling like you have to validate it.
And if you do receive a suspicious package, the Better Business Bureau recommends alerting the shopping site or the company. In Dallas, I'm Brooke Taylor, Fox News.
While the snow and ice that typically go hand in hand with the winter months can be magical, they can also prove hazardous to millions, especially older adults. Health experts are sharing more on what triggers the risks and what you can do to keep yourself from falling. Fox's Marianne Rafferty reports.
As winter rages on, snow and ice can create unsafe outdoor conditions, especially for seniors. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, falls are the leading cause of injury for folks 65 and up.
The bigger problem is what happens after the fracture, and that mortality risk for an elderly person is markedly higher than for a younger individual.
The odds of suffering bone fractures from falling also increase as we age.
When you're younger, all of your various soft tissues in your body are designed to absorb energy. And in addition, there's damage accrual that occurs in your bones over time that as a younger person, your body is designed to repair that damage. But as you age, those mechanisms slow.
But aging isn't the only factor that can impact bone quality.
Alzheimer's disease, Down syndrome, these disease states have an impact on the skeleton, and sometimes skeletal weakness can be, again, a marker for the underlying disease before the disease itself is really prominent.
Preventing injuries starts by minimizing risks.
If it's icy, don't walk outside. If you're taking down your Christmas tree, maybe call your son over to help you lug it out the front door.
And health experts say there's plenty of methods to screen for bone health.
It's what's known as a DEXA scan. It's a bone scan. It's the gold standard. It's present in literally every clinic in the country. It's cheap, it's fast. There are blood tests that can reveal metabolic issues with your bones.
Safety advocates say awareness is important as the CDC reveals 1 in 4 older adults report falling every year. Marianne Rafferty, Fox News.
A special gift for investors this Christmas Eve. Fox's Edward Lawrence has this story and more on tonight's Fox Means Business.
Good thing Santa doesn't have to gas up his reindeer to deliver all of those toys. That's because prices at the pump are still hovering around $3.04 a gallon as we head into Christmas Day. That's around the same that we've been paying the past few days. But on the bright side, it's about 8 cents cheaper than Christmas Eve last year. The Santa Claus rally continues on Wall Street. The Dow, S&P 500, and NASDAQ all closed higher again on Christmas Eve. The stock market will be closed Christmas Day, and trading will resume on Thursday. Santa's been delivering for investors throughout the 2024 year. It's been really a good year so far. The Dow is up nearly 15%. The S&P 500 has jumped north of 26%. And the NASDAQ has soared a whopping 33.4%. Merry Christmas to all. Have a happy and healthy holiday. That's business. I'm Edward Lawrence.
After the break, Chase is in with our full 5-day forecast. Stay with us.
Merry Christmas Eve, everybody. With last night's snow event, we are definitely having a white Christmas for tomorrow. But after that, temperatures are going to warm. Are we going to see precipitation by the end of the next week? And if we do, is it going to be rain or snow? I'll have the answers coming right up.
The Wrap Up the Year sales event is here at Quirk. Drive home in a truck that works as hard as you do. Save $14,000 on Ram Tradesman 2500 HD. Or save on Jeep Compass and lease for only $349 per month. It's your Ram or Jeep. Find it at Quirk.
Rome wasn't built in a day, but the Garcia's windows and patio doors were. So were the Jacksons and the Smiths. Yours could be next. Call Renewal by Anderson for fast, easy, and precise window replacement. Big savings, too. For a limited time, get these huge savings and special financing. Take the first step. Contact us for the best home improvement experience you'll ever have. Call now for a free consultation or visit us online. Renewal by Anderson.
Modern Epoxy and Polishing wants to wish everyone a happy holiday. Modern Epoxy specializes in epoxy services for Eastern and Central Maine. From the entire team at Twin City Tire and Service, have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Atlantic Designs wishes you joy, peace, and happiness this holiday season. Thank you for choosing us.
Hi, Grandma. I'm in trouble and I really need some money.
Tommy, is that you? Of course I'll help. But first, what's the family code word?
Code word?
Over $9 billion is lost annually to fraud and phone scams, and they're on the rise. Safeguard your family by establishing a family code word, only known to family members, and verify it with the caller before taking any action. Sponsored by the Maine Bankers Association and the Maine Society of CPAs and this station.
Come in and share the love.
This holiday season, share the love in a brand new 2024 Subaru Crosstrek. Buy with 2.9% financing or lease for just $299 per month. It's your Subaru. Find it at Quirk.
Thank you very much. And once again, happy holidays to all of you out there watching our show for tonight. Highs today right around the mid-20s, 25 degrees what we saw here in town, 34 though in Bar Harbor, 36 in Rockland. Many areas along the coastline right around those low to mid-30s for today, and a little bit north of that, Augusta and Waterville, right around those mid to upper 20s for highs. We saw some areas right around 20 degrees in Holton and Presque Isle, and upper teens for Clayton Lake today. They're high right around 19 degrees. Going into tonight, some very cold temperatures. We'll be hitting just shortly after midnight. We're going to see right around 10 to 11 degrees here in town, 16 in Deer Isle, 13 in Wesley, and some single digits up north and in the western portion of the state, Clayton Lake, right around 5 degrees for your low tonight. But going into tomorrow, we're going to see a slight warm-up compared to today, right around those upper 20s to low 30s we'll see here in town, definitely by Deer Isle as well and Wesley. But temperatures still are going to be a little bit cooler up north and to the west, right around those low to mid-20s is what you'll be seeing for highs. So the average high this time of year is right around freezing, which is 32 degrees. We're going to be near that after the holidays. Thursday and the Friday, we'll have highs right around 30 and to 33 degrees. But then we're going to start to warm up Sunday right around 36 degrees. We might see some rain and snow chances going on the Sunday night, but then Monday, definitely any precipitation we'll see will be as rain because we'll have a high right around 45, and into next week, Tuesday, still above average with a high of 42 degrees. So winds out there, a little bit breezy for tonight, but they are going to calm down for tomorrow. Still right around 7 a.m. though. We can see 22-mile-per-hour gusts here in Bucksport and Bar Harbor, 16 here in town, but then throughout the afternoon into the evening, we're going to see some lighter winds, only gusting near 5 to 10 miles per hour at times. So for the most part, winds will be calm. We can see out there on the radar, we have a lot of snow still to the east. That's what hit us last night into this early morning, helping us see a white Christmas here in town as temperatures are still below freezing. But we can see throughout the next few days, the weather's going to be very quiet. Looks like we're not going to see any precipitation throughout the next few days, just some cloud cover, partly cloudy skies for tomorrow afternoon right around 3:30. And as we head into Thursday, all those clouds are going to clear, and we're going to see some mostly sunny skies heading into Thursday afternoon. So we do see those some warming temperatures are on the way, especially by the end into the weekend, going into Sunday. That's where we see that dark blue. Those are temperatures in the mid to upper 30s, maybe even touching 40 degrees. And that's definitely what we'll see going into Monday and Tuesday as well. But for tonight, Santa's coming into town. It's going to be cold. Lows right around 10 degrees, and then they're going to rise throughout the rest of the night. Partly cloudy skies, winds from the north right around 5 to 10. And then tomorrow is Christmas Day. Happy holidays, everybody. High right around 28 degrees with those partly cloudy skies and winds still from the north right around 5 to 10 miles per hour. So taking a look at our extended forecast, temperatures are going to warm throughout the next few days. Thursday and Friday, mostly sunny skies. Highs right around 30 to 33 degrees. But then Saturday and the Sunday, temperatures still warming. Sunday, we will see those mostly cloudy skies. Those will be increasing clouds from a system making its way in, potentially bringing some rain and snow chances going into Sunday night.
Thank you, Chase. Sports is next with Jack Webb.
Fires, floods, burst pipes. Disasters happen, but the mess they leave behind doesn't have to last. For 40 years, Bouchard Cleaning and Restoration has been there to help Mainers get back to the closest to normal as they can. When your property is at its worst, Bouchard Cleaning and Restoration is at their best, and they have been for 4 decades. Put your trust in the Bouchard team. Bouchard Cleaning and Restoration. You keep the memories, we'll handle the rest.
We've got a 100-year-old company here, and it's because of the service, the quality, and the experience. It gets done right.
I think we've been doing it for so long. The only thing that we do, that when we walk into a room, we automatically know how to treat that window. We can take any product that the customer's looking for and make it work in just about any situation that they present us with. So
there's no reason to be overwhelmed. No. We can help you through it.
We're not going anywhere. We've been around for 100 years.
What customers want from a garage door opener, a LiftMaster from PDQ Door delivers. Security. LiftMaster offers lighting, camera, audio, rolling code technology, and automatic locking. Connectivity. LiftMaster offers MyQ technology for remote operation and monitoring. And quiet. LiftMaster offers near silent belt drive and DC motor openers. Plus reliability, durability, battery backup. A LiftMaster is what you want from PDQ Door. Hamden, Rockport, Bath, Waterville, Holton, Presque Isle, and statewide at pdqdoor.com.
Did you know that starting May 7th, 2025, the federal government will begin enforcing Real ID? That means you will need a Real ID, passport, or equivalent to fly domestically or enter certain federal facilities. As you plan business travel or your dream vacation next summer, don't wait. Make an appointment online at the BMV today. We're here to help. Brought to you by this station, Maine Association of Broadcasters, and the Secretary of State.
Tonight's Sports is brought to you by Diversified Ink Tattoo Studio in Bangor, located in the Penobscot Plaza, providing custom ink by licensed artists for more than 20 years.
Welcome back in, folks, and happy holidays to you. We'll start tonight in the Christmas spirit as I got to catch up with Hamden Academy's Eve Wiles for a Christmas Eve edition of A Minute With.
Sugar cookie. Feliz Navidad. Come on. Yes. Frosted Snowman. Snow. Of course.
Obviously.
Yeah. I wanted an iPad. And clothes, basic.
Absolutely love that. I hope Santa comes through for that iPad. Staying with basketball now, the Maine women's team picked up a big win over the weekend. The Black Bears took down Bates College on Saturday by a score of 96-39. Maine set a new school record for threes in a game, knocking down 19 triples throughout the game. An impressive feat for the Black Bears, who's shooting 33% from three this season, and they say it feels good to see the shots fall.
Yeah, I think it was really good for us to kind of get back on our feet. A lot of those came off of assists, which was really good for us to kind of play together as a team and use that to move forward.
I think it means a lot, especially after having these last 12 days, like just practice. We really took it to regroup as a team and just kind of get back to our basics, like shooting, defense, all the fundamentals. So I think to come out and really have a good shooting game was really good.
Maine had lost 6 of their last 7 going into the contest with the Bobcats. And even though Bates is a Division III team, head coach Amy Vachon says it's still encouraging to see them execute at a high level.
Yeah, it's big. I mean, we've had a really tough schedule, and we've really been through it. Really done some soul searching, figuring out who we are and trying to figure out what works for us. I still think we're looking, we're growing, but to have a game where you see the basketball go through the net and you see, a lot of assists and rebounds and all of that, it feels good.
Black Bears will resume play on Saturday against Fairleigh Dickinson. We'll have more from them later in the week. Covering all 3 levels of basketball tonight, we'll move on as the Celtics fell to the Magic by a score of 108-104 on Monday night. It's Boston's 2nd loss in 3 games. Jason Tatum was ruled out with an illness just minutes before tip-off, so it was on Jaylen Brown and company to perform. Brown tallied 35 points, 9 rebounds, and 4 assists, but it wasn't enough to get the win. The Magic went a perfect 21 for 21 from the free throw line, and Brown thinks that it was a one-sided whistle, but his team has to learn how to play through that.
Definitely a physical game. Give credit to Orlando. We should have met the physicality a little bit better. And I think it's a good preparation game. Things wasn't going our way. We felt like the officials was one-sided, so I think it was good for us. I think we need to, see that more, get used to that more, get more comfortable with that level of environment. We'll watch it and we'll be better.
Staying in Boston now, the Bruins have caught fire here around the holidays. The Bruins won last night by a score of 4-1 over the Washington Capitals and currently sit at 19-13-4, which is good for 3rd in the Atlantic Division. The Bees have found their footing here under Joe Sacco, winning 8 of their last 11. Here's what Captain Brad Marchand had to say after yesterday's big win.
And then we just played a really smart game. We didn't force anything. We were really detailed defensively, and then obviously capitalized on a couple turnovers and really good defensive plays. That's the way that we've been preaching to play in this room for a while now, and it's how we've always had success. So I love the way that we just stuck with it. That's a very good team, and we didn't give them a whole lot. So we're definitely happy with that one.
Bruins superstar David Pastrnak left the game with an upper body injury and did not return. And when Bruins captain was asked about how he looked post-game, he answered in true Marchand fashion.
He looks phenomenal naked. That's on the shower. Want me to go on?
Happy holidays there from Brad Marchand, only him. Keep in mind, folks, while the kids are playing with toys tomorrow, or if you just need a quick break from your family, you've got Chiefs Steelers at 1, Ravens Texans at 4:30, along with 5 NBA games, including the Boston Celtics squaring off with the 76ers at 5. That's all the time we have for sports. We'll be right back after the break.
Welcome to Nissan. Are you interested in
a test drive?
Absolutely. There's the all-new Kicks, the new Frontier, and the Nissan Rogue. Hurry in to the Nissan year-end sales event. Now get a low $239 per month lease on Rogue.
Oh no! Son of a nutcracker. This is what I get for eating all those cookies. Hey, Rotor, I got a big clog for you. I'm stuck in the chimney. Again. Yep, I'm the clog. Any chance you could fa-la-la over here?
For all your holiday plumbing needs, Roto-Rooter can save the day.
And away go troubles down the drain. Roto-Rooter.
Ye Olde General, located in Carmel, has everything you could ever need. Whether it be kerosene, regular or ethanol-free gasoline, wood pellets, a fresh-cooked pizza, or fried food, they've got you covered. Looking to get a stiff drink after work? Ye Olde General is an agency liquor store with a great selection of alcohol. Ye Olde General can help with your next home project, carrying carpentry supplies from hammers and nails to specialty nuts and bolts. They have what you need to get the job done. Stop by Ye Olde General today. If you don't think they'll have it, they probably do.
Your favorite restaurants were half off. It's half off dining from Fox 22 and ABC 7. Go to foxbangor.com, click on half off dining, and start saving now.
Located on Wilson Street in Brewer, Yoshi Japanese Restaurant, where you'll find only the best sushi, Asian favorites, and specialty crafted cocktails that will satisfy anyone. Try tatami seating for an immersive experience. Yoshi Japanese Restaurant, bringing delicious traditions to you.
Great restaurants from all over Eastern Maine at half-off dining from Fox 22 and ABC 7.
Harvey High is now in session. Today's subjects, science.
Name something that could make the earth move.
Heavy rain.
Hold on, it's raining.
Health class.
Something you drop in the toilet and still use it afterward.
Toothbrush.
Nah, I'm not sticking that in my mouth. We're not doing teeth brushing today.
Get schooled with Family Feud.
Weeknights at 7 on Fox 22.
Welcome to Nissan. Are you interested in
test drive?
Absolutely. There's the all-new Kicks, the new Frontier, and the Nissan Rogue. Hurry in to the Nissan year-end sales event. Nissan offers 6 vehicles with starting MSRP under $30,000.
Man. Oh my God. Oh.
Kitchen Nightmares Road to Super Bowl 59 premieres January 7th on Fox.
Welcome back. NASA astronauts gave Christmas greetings from the great beyond. Stranded astronauts Sonny Williams and Butch Wilmore, along with Nick Hague and Don Pettit, sharing a holiday greeting to those back on Earth.
Welcome to the International Space Station as we get ready for the Christmas holidays. It's a great time of year up here. We get to spend it with all of our family up on the International Space Station. There's 7 of us up here, and so we're going to get to enjoy company together. And one of the best things that I like about Christmas is the preparation and just getting ready, the anticipation, everybody getting together and preparing stuff and just getting ready for the holiday. And a couple little things we have here with us to just prepare, which will be sort of fun in a couple days.
Williams and Wilmore are aboard the aircraft 8 months after what was supposed to be an 8-day mission began to run into issues. NASA says the pair won't return until the end of March or even April because of a delay in launching their replacements. Well, in other news, Santa Claus is coming to town and you can track his journey. NORAD's Santa Tracker is up and running. Fox's Rebecca Castor has more on the beloved decades-long tradition.
No, that's not a drone NORAD's watching. For the 69th year, the North American Aerospace Defense Command is tracking Santa's sleigh.
Santa just left Kyrgyzstan.
It's a tradition that started by accident. In 1955, a department store misprinted a phone number in a newspaper ad for kids to call Santa. Instead, it was the number for the Continental Air Defense Command, NORAD's predecessor. And that Christmas Eve, officers took dozens of calls from kids asking the same question. Where is Santa and when will he arrive at my house?
He generally tends to start just to the west of the international dateline and work his way around the globe, generally moving north to south.
Now NORAD gets hundreds of thousands of calls every December 24th. And it takes a large team of volunteers to keep the magic alive.
It is something that brings real joy to the members of NORAD.
NORAD's everyday mission is to track everything that flies in the sky over the U.S. and Canada. So they have the best technology and qualifications to keep up with Santa and his reindeer.
We have a network of satellites that orbit about 23,000 miles above the Earth, and they are aided by the heat from Rudolph's nose. That helps them be able to see where the sleigh is.
Kids and the young at heart can go to noradsanta.org to see where Santa is right now. In Washington, Rebecca Castor, Fox News.
The holidays are almost here. Do you know where you are spending the big day, eating the big meal, and more importantly, who are you leaving out? It's a big question and it trips up a lot of couples. Fox's Rebecca Castor tells us the factors that help one couple make the decision.
The Rosinski family is still figuring out where to spend the holidays with their 3 little girls.
Christmas and Christmas Eve is still up in the air.
During the holidays, both sides of your family want to see you, and all that pressure is on one big day.
You sort of have an allegiance to your own family. There's like, in your mind, there's more stake there, but you have to come to a compromise.
We're fortunate that we don't really argue over where we go.
Logistics are a factor.
We took into consideration when our kids were going to be out of school and also work schedules.
Emotions are another factor.
As a partner, I want to do what's good for our family, but I also have guilt for my own parents.
And some of it's self-inflicted guilt probably that we shouldn't feel because everybody's an adult.
Guilt, that's a normal reaction to things. You can't control how anybody else is going to feel. If they're disappointed, that's not anything that you have done. Understand that your family is now you, your wife, or your husband, or whoever it is, and your own children, and all you can do is the best that you can. You can't make everybody happy.
And kids complicate matters.
Everyone wants to see the kids, everyone wants to see the grandkids, and everyone wants to see them open presents.
Just remember, everyone involved needs to keep the bigger picture in focus.
I think as soon as we are able to sort of let it go and are sort of appreciating the time that we're getting to have as a family.
If you're the parent of adult children, you can encourage them to create their own traditions and spend time with their in-laws to help make these discussions easier. In Washington, Rebecca Castor, Fox News.
The Monson General Store is turning into a go-to destination, especially this holiday season. Our Jody Hersey went to see the puzzling reason why.
In the remote town of Monson, there is excitement in the air.
For a small town of 680 people, we kind of feel like we won the lottery here.
That's because the Monson General Store was the only main location selected to carry the highly coveted New York Times Games Puzzle Mania print issue. This 12-page paper has become a popular holiday favorite for puzzle enthusiasts, often selling out at various newsstands. But here in Monson, it's free, while supplies last, to those who dine at the store's deli.
They like to put their puzzle newspaper in a remote area and expect that people will come here, in the off-season.
This is the 10th year the Times has offered its Puzzle Mania to readers. This year's edition is packed with more than 50 word and visual puzzles for people to enjoy.
For puzzlers, it's really something that people are looking for.
And what better place to make it available than in the heart of Monson?
It's kind of a hubbub of this town.
For those who can't travel here, Puzzle Mania is available online for $7. But if you talk with locals, they'll tell you Monson is worth the trip.
Everybody who you talk to in Maine says, "Oh, I know Monson. That general store is pretty awesome, isn't it?" And people used to drive through here on the way to Greenville and just never stop. And now everybody stops here. There's a lot of people who spend a lot of time making this a fun place to live.
In Monson, I'm Jody Hersey for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Customers braved the weather this morning in order to stop in to Frank's Bakery for Christmas desserts. The staff worked overnight to prepare pies, cookies, and other desserts that customers ordered for the holiday. However, those who forgot to place an order were able to grab something sweet for the holiday as well.
Cut off orders like the day before so we can prep everything, and so then we just have lots of extra for people who come in and forgot to order.
And I can always count on Frank's to have good desserts, and it saves me if I don't want to make something because we're busy on Christmas Eve with our families.
Frank's Bakery is giving its employees some much-needed time off after the holidays. The business will be closed Christmas until January 5th. That's all for tonight. We hope you have a great rest of your evening. Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah.
For more local news coverage, switch over to our sister station, ABC 7, right now for ABC 7 News at 11.
You push it. You try to slide it. You even try to hold them shut. But your doors just won't stay closed, no matter what. Introducing
With Jeopardy today, until Rachel hit those daily doubles. He was cruising. Let's see, did he know it was Dali? He did. And he said hi to Brenda. I assume that's your flashcard buddy.
Hi.
Well done. Brenda, you did good work. Macaulay played so well today. You wagered all of it, $16,800, bringing you to $33,600. It's going to be tough to beat, but Rachel Dratch had the lead going into final, and she wrote down...
I think I messed up
No, I think we can read that.
I messed up my math.
Who is Salvador Dali? That's all correct. I can read that. And you wagered Here's the math part. 10,601, which will give you 33,601. Debbie Downer has been a response on Jeopardy many times, but this is not a downer. You are now a Jeopardy champ, and you're a semifinalist. Congratulations. Mac, Becky, well done. You each win $30,000 for your very worthy charities. Thank you so much for being here. Rachel will be back in the semifinals. Next time, 3 new celebrities will be with us on Celebrity Jeopardy. We'll see you then.
Jamie Lee Curtis stops by Jimmy Kimmel Live.
This is ABC 7 News at 11.
A second alarm was struck as crews battled a